Hi, my name's Jason Cherniak. I'm involved with the Liberal Party of Canada, and I run a website called Liblogs.ca. It's an aggregate of all the self-identified Liberal bloggers in Canada, and it is very unofficial. It is not actually connected to the Liberal Party. Approximately 4 years ago, Conservatives in Canada started up a similar site called the Blogging Tories. Essentially, they would take all the various bloggers who identified themselves as conservative, and it would put their political opinions online every day in one place so that media and anyone else who was reading blogs could just go to bloggingtories.ca and see what the general conservative opinions were across the country. What many of us found was that this made it too easy for media to go and see what conservatives were thinking. It got media caught up in the dialogue between the various conservative bloggers, and the end result was that the conservatives began to take over what we call the blog sphere in Canada. In the spring of 2006, a number of us Liberal bloggers started talking about starting up a list. Eventually, I got our website, Liblogs.ca, started up, and the bloggers started joining. Initially, it was 10, 20, 30 people. We're now up to over 200 bloggers, about 80 of whom are writing regularly. We set it up as a non-profit corporation, and while I'm the only owner, although it's not called an owner, I have a board of directors of other bloggers and some Liberals who are interested in the blog world, and as a result it means that people are willing to donate money because they know that no one's making money off of it. Any income that we receive, we end up renting a hospitality suite at the Liberal convention, and everybody gets a benefit out of Liblogs. In any event, for the website itself, once we got started up, we found that it made it much easier for us to sell the Liberal message online. Suddenly there was a place where media could go to see what the Liberals were saying, and they could see the discussion between the Liberals, and they could get a sense that no, it isn't just conservative grassroots people out there writing blogs, it was also Liberal grassroots people. And as it's expanded, it's given us much more credibility as a party online, and it's affected how media bloggers write their own blogs online, because they now have Liberal sources to refer to as well as conservative sources. During the 2006 election, which started in December 2005 and went on into January, it had a very strong internet presence. Liblogs had just gotten started, and we really weren't able to compete properly. The best example is what became known as the income trust scandal. Just before the election got started, the Minister of Finance announced that the Liberal government was not going to tax income trusts, which are a type of investment that had become very popular in Canada. Before the announcement, there were some spikes in stock markets. So a number of conservative bloggers took all of these statistics together and started to try to make an argument that the Liberals had actually leaked information in advance to help their friends, and that this was a huge scandal. At first, nobody took it seriously, but after a couple of weeks of pushing this income trust issue over and over and over again, the media started to pay attention. In fact, it was the third party in our country, the NDP, that finally sent a complaint to the Royal Canadian Police. In the middle of the election, the Royal Canadian Police announced that they were beginning an investigation, and many people believe this was the turning point that resulted in the defeat of the Liberal government. Now, since then, the RCMP have finished their investigation, and they've ruled that there was absolutely nothing that was done wrong by the politicians. There was one civil servant who had made a bit of money off of the announcement, but that was it. The key, though, is that the blogging Tories were able to create an atmosphere online that led political watchers in Canada to take these crazy accusations seriously. This was really the first sign to people who didn't already read blogs that blogs were important, and that not only should they start reading them, but within the Liberal Party they should stop taking them seriously. Almost immediately following the 2006 election, we had a leadership race because our former Prime Minister Paul Martin resigned. During that leadership race, many of the campaigns began their own blog campaigns. Some of them even had blog campaign chairs, and I was one of the blog campaign co-chairs for Stéphane Dion, who eventually won. All the candidates did interviews with bloggers. All of the candidates had their own bloggers who were trying to get their message out, and all of the candidates invited bloggers to their various media events. The reasoning behind this was that there were approximately 5,000 delegates who would be voting for the next leader, or there could have been up to 5,000 delegates. those bloggers, while the general public doesn't read them, no one has more than 1,000 or 2,000 readers a day, those Liberal delegates were more than likely to read a blog at some point, and many of them were the people who regularly read the political blogs. As a result, the campaigns used these blogs to really get their message out and try to sell themselves to those Liberal delegates. I like to think I did a good job for Stéphane Dion and helped make him leader of our party. I know a number of other people did good work for other candidates as well and certainly kept them in the loop. An interesting aspect is that the campaigns that did not do very well with the bloggers, while it did not stop them from doing well in the final result, I think it gave a sense that they weren't really as modern as some of the other campaigns, or they weren't as popular among Liberals. And even if just the media were the ones getting that sense, because they were reading the blogs every day, and they found very few people who supported, in fact, the candidate who came in second in the end. So blogs were a very useful contribution internally for the Liberal Party during that leadership race. Following the leadership race, however, the party stopped paying as much attention to the blogs, and while blogs continued and Liblogs continued, and it was still beneficial to have that Liberal voice, we were never really quite as well read as we had been during leadership when media were focusing on internal Liberal politics. That brings me to my next point, which is that I think the best value of blogs may actually be in telling media what is going on within your political party. Because media see bloggers as grassroots, and even someone like me who was very involved officially in the party gave his real opinions online, and I always had a somewhat of a little, yes, I supported the party, but maybe I supported it for a different reason than the official reason. And I think media took that seriously, and I know with other people who still blog, I stopped a few months ago, the media still take their opinions very seriously. As a political party, it's important not only to get your message out, but to make sure that your bloggers online aren't busy telling the media that they don't support the party anymore and that things are falling apart. And to give you an example of this, there was a provincial election in Ontario just over a year ago, and the Conservative Party this time had a big problem with bloggers. Their leader, John Tory, was not very popular among bloggers, in particular for a policy to fund religious schools as if they were public schools. And many of his bloggers were so upset that they spent the entire campaign actually attacking their own leader. This gave the media a sense that the leader himself was not even popular among conservatives. So if he wasn't popular among conservatives, what chance did he actually have of winning the election? This atmosphere was very, very damaging to John Tory and ultimately contributed to him losing very badly. And more recently, he lost his position as leader altogether. So, when you have a list like Liblogs, there's 2 points that are most important. The first point is that it makes it an easy access point for media and other people in your country to read what supporters of your party are saying and to understand the party's position in a less official way. The second important point is that once you've created an easy way for people to read those blogs, you have to treat those bloggers seriously, because if those bloggers get upset and start attacking the party, it's going to take away from your credibility and from your leader's credibility, because it suggests that the party supporters are not actually supporting what the main party spokespeople are doing. I don't know what's happening in each individual country of the people who are watching this webinar. However, what I can tell you is that there are a couple different strategies you can try. If there is no effective online presence in your country at this time, then I believe that what could be an effective strategy is to start up an aggregator like Liblogs that gives media an easy place to see what supporters of your party are saying. You can have them discuss interesting issues, they can talk back and forth and link to each other, and they can try to add noise on the national discussion on the side that you want it to be. So if you want people talking about the economy, then try to get your bloggers to talk about the economy over and over and over again. If you want people talking about foreign affairs, then try to get your bloggers to talk about foreign affairs. If the media are reading them, and if the media finds the conversation interesting, then the media is going to get involved in that conversation. If you're in a country that already has a strong blog presence, then I think you need to get more organized simply so that you don't get left behind. anytime a new political strategy comes into play, it's always the person who figures out how to use it first that gets the most benefit. Whether it was, I believe, FDR on the radio, or JFK on television, or perhaps even Barack Obama online. The first political campaign to successfully use a new media strategy is going to have the most benefit from it and is going to surge ahead of the other parties. I think the Liberals probably got a little bit behind in that respect in Canada. I like to believe that we've now caught up and we're at the point where it's equal and both parties have similar ability to use online strategy as they need it. And my recommendation is that in your country, you make sure that you don't get left behind, and if no one's doing it yet, then try to vault ahead of the other competition. Thank you for listening. I hope you found it interesting.